Akwa Ibom House of Assembly faults accumulation of unretired advances by local government directors of finance. Race Commissioners Economic Summit ends in Uyo. As Professor Akpan Ekpo clocks 70, University of Uyo organizes valedictory lecture in honor of ex-Vice Chancellor. Kenyan President backs down on tax rises after deadly protests. Details in just a moment. Good afternoon and welcome to AKBC 45 News at noon. I am Fort Budokan. Now the news in detail. Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly has expressed displeasure at the accumulation of unretired advances by directors of finance in local governments. The House Committee on Public Accounts conveyed the displeasure on the fall of the ongoing review of audit report queries issued by the Office of the Auditor General for Local Governments. Legislative Affairs reporter Uyoko Swa completes the story.
Conveying the position of the Public Accounts Committee on the predominant issues in the audit report queries reviewed for the day, the chairman of the committee, Mr. Eric Akpan, said the accumulation of the unretired advances was a gross violation of financial regulations. He advised directors of finance to be detailed in their duties and to verify unretired advances before they are written off to avoid unnecessary litigations. The Public Accounts Committee also emphasized the need for heads of service in local governments, directors of finance and local government chairmen to be conversant with the IPSAS principle of accounting to apply them in their accounting processes. They observed weak internal control measures in some local governments, describing it as a sign of inefficiency which will not be allowed to thrive by the Public Accounts Committee.
This is the position of Public Accounts Committee. Good as it is being spoken, but remember, when you take over, you inherit asset and liability. You know that? Therefore, excuse is not an option, but it devalues. We therefore encourage you to deploy your professionalism, expertise in handling the issue once and for all. Now, we are expecting it to reflect in the audit report of 2023.
Local governments that appeared on the day for the exercise were Nserubium, Una, Ibno, Mbu, Ekit, Okobo, and Oron. Uyoko Uswa, AKBC News.
Former Vice Chancellor of the University of Uyo, Professor Akpan Ekpo, has bowed out of service after 40 years of service and upon clocking the mandatory retirement age of 70 at a valedictory lecture and book presentation in honor of the renowned economist in Uyo. The Vice-Chancellor of the University, Professor Nyaudon Dayo, paid tributes to Professor Akpan Ekpo as an icon of good policies in economics and academia. The reports.
Professor Ndayo likened Professor Ekpo to the biblical Nehemiah and lauded him for transforming the University of Uyo. He said Professor Ekpo will be remembered for championing the sanitization of the Nigerian university system in the University of Uyo and encouraged other academics to emulate Professor Ekpo's adventures and dedication to the advancement of the university system.
Professor Ekpo is an icon. Nobody can fault what I'm saying. In academics, it's an icon. It's a colossus. In fact, it's actually a legend. Because some of the policies we have had in Nigeria, in economics in particular, and public finance in general, and public finance in particular, have come from him. So he had it on his own. He provided blocks. The democracy of this country come up to where we are now. Should it not be proper for us to celebrate such a person?
The valedictory session organized by the Department of Economics also provided an opportunity for intellectuals to eulogize one of their own for his commitment to the development of the nation's economy and education sector. Among them were the chairman of the planning committee, Professor Emmanuel Nwodiuk, the Dean of Deans, Professor Godwin Ekpan, Dean, Faculty of Communication and Media Studies, Professor Peter Isu, as well as the State Chairman, Nigerian Economic Society, Professor Christopher Ekong.
I first knew him as my lecturer 37 years ago as an undergraduate. And I'm also very glad to know that in that class, 3 of us now are professors and we are all in this building today. So I want to say thank you very much. We are very grateful for what you have done for us in the profession of economics and even for the Department of Economics. You're very for you. God bless you, sir. For many of the things that we did, I want to say thank you.
He was appointed the head of department, the Dean of Faculty of Social Sciences, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, and Vice Chancellor of the University. In between this peak period of tremendous assignment in the university, he was consulted severally by World Bank, IMF, CBN, among others.
The celebrator, Professor Okmanekpo, recalled his fight against cultism, certificate racketeering, and sorting, expressing gratitude to God for seeing him through. He appealed to the government not to neglect public schools, which he identified as the future of the country.
It wasn't easy. Those 2 years were not easy. But we thank God that we're here. And I thank the management team then for the sacrifices that they made. I must say it wasn't easy. But for this lady here, the wife here, there are times I will come back home so frustrated. Even my pot belly developed during that period. Because I'll come back home when I'm frustrated, give me start there. As they're about to bring the start there, the Student Union will arrive with their car with bullets. I said, but I'm not the police station, go to the police station. So I thank all of you for what you've done today. And the way you've honored me, God will honor you 10 times more.
The book, entitled Essays in Public Finance, a tribute to Professor Okmanekpo, also featured the presentation of his autobiography and a book of extolment in his honor.
Akwa Ibom State Government has reiterated its willingness to collaborate with institutions and organizations involved in intervening programs aimed at preparing young people for economically viable opportunities. The Commissioner for Trade and Investment, Dr. John Etom, reiterated government's stance at a grant signing ceremony organized by Foundation Partnership Initiative in the Niger Delta, PIND, in collaboration with Ibom Lead and Entrepreneurial Development, IBOM Led. The events held at the Ibom Led Center, IBB Way, Uyo. Mercy Ekere tells us more.
Dr. John Etom commended the programs of PIND Foundation, which includes youth intervention, saying they are in consonance with the human capacity development component of the Arise agenda of Governor Moino. He said the engagement of youth in various skills will create employment, encourage self-reliance, reduce poverty, dependency, and youth restiveness. Dr. Etom thanked PIND Foundation for the choice of Akwa Ibom as one of the 3 states in the Niger Delta region to benefit from the program.
So I want us to see each other's partners. And I want you, my children, to see this program as a very serious, efficient vehicle to develop your skills and to enhance you as individuals and to improve your tomorrow.
The program director, PIND Foundation, Dr. Effiong Essien, said their program tagged Youth Employment Pathways was initiated to flatten the alarming curve of youth unemployment in the Niger Delta region through the provision of industry and market demand skills as major options for youths to access decent jobs or be self-employed. He explained that since the inception of the foundation in 2018, over 8,000 youths, including 1,631 in Akwa Ibom State, have been trained in agribusiness, information and communication technology, as well as building construction, among others.
The Workforce Development Program focused on market-relevant skills and subsequent linkage to sustainable jobs or enterprises. The pilot phase of the program was carried out in 3 Niger Delta states, including Akwa Ibom State, from 2018 to 2020.
The Director General, Ibom LED, Mrs. Ekaite Omo, the Program Director, Ibom LED, Mr. Ime Uwa, and other guests all lauded the passion of Pine Foundation in creating opportunities for youths in the Niger Delta region.
And we know that before the end of this year, Pine is going to come up with another program because of what they see in this place.
We will see the curriculum that we're supposed to take everybody on. We're led, we're ready, we're very ready to even do more. So because we want you to succeed.
Some beneficiaries of the program bared their minds to AKBC News.
I am highly elated to be granted this opportunity, seeing as, I believe there are about millions of persons in this state, and from nowhere I was selected.
The skill I will learn will also help me and improve my life, and also to better myself, and it will also help me to reach out to others as well.
Mercy Ekere, AKBC News.
Meanwhile, the Commissioner for Trade and Investment, Dr. Jonathan, was one of the key stakeholders who participated in the recently Braced Commission Economic Council Summit held at the Wardbridge Hotels and Suites Uyo. BREST is an acronym for Bayelsa, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, Cross River, Edo, and Delta states.
Summit brought together key economic stakeholders, including commissioners and permanent secretaries of the South-South states. The summit is aimed at forging a strategic plan aimed at bolstering regional growth and development. At the summit, Akwa Ibom State stakeholders, including the Commissioner for Trade and Investment, Dr. Jonathan, the Commissioner for Economic Development, Mr. Mimbob, and his finance counterpart, Mr. Linus Nkan, highlighted how Governor Moino's Arise agenda aligns with the state's economic goals, emphasizing on the need for collaborative efforts among the braced states in order to sustain the tides. They said the joint initiatives are crucial for fostering an economic renaissance across the region. The Director General of the Braced Commission, Ambassador Joe Keshi, in his remarks underscored the collective ambition of the braced states to emulate successful regional economic models such as the European Union. He outlined a vision for the South-South that hinges on policy harmonization, infrastructure development, and significant investments in the education and agricultural sector. He also called for creation of a braced fund to finance a key regional project, stressing the importance of comprehensive development framework with clear short-term and long-term goals. The meeting featured detailed discussions on several strategic areas, including developing a collaborative regional plan to boost economic integration, creating an energy corridor and promoting renewable energy initiatives, cultivating a culture of agro-business among the youth, and transitioning from petroleum to alternative energy sources, among others. Mercy Ekere, AKBC News.
Take a break here, and when we return, federal government bans single use of plastics in ministry. Also, federal government takes steps to look at the minimum wage. Details after the break. Stay with us.
Every go through in life is preparing you for your next assignment. My father was a police officer, so I lived in the barracks. A barracks like a mini in Nigeria, you know, you find everybody there. My dad's salary, of course, couldn't meet the family income, so I had to sell soft drinks for my mother so that we can make up the family income. I used to take soft drinks from our home and I'll go to the airport and sell. It was fun. I didn't know I was going to ever get into hotel business. So eventually, my coke hawking helped me later in life when I started running my hotel. Those little things you did became building blocks for my later days in life. And you know what? My house was built on the same street I used to go through to hawk. And so everybody that saw me hawk these soft drinks for my mother, when I bought a land there and built my house, all of those people were still alive. It's like, some of them had to bring their children. Look at me mentor these kids. Today, when I drive around the streets, sometimes you find people sell and you stop by. I just remember, it used to be like this. That hawking has helped me today to be able to serve the people. Accept the things you can't change and change the things you can, and ensure that you just have the fear of God in you. I think the only person that can stop you from achieving what God has set out for you is you.
Akwa Ibom is rising.
Yeah, welcome back to the news. The Federal Executive Council has stepped down the memorandum on the reports of the Tripartite Committee on New National Minimum Wage for further consultations. Minister of Information and National Reorientation Mohammed Idris disclosed this to journalists on Tuesday, June 25, after the Federal Executive Council meeting, which was presided over by President Bola Tinubu. He said this was done to allow the presidents to consult more widely. According to Minister, the Council took its decision realizing that the issue of the national minimum wage is not just for the consideration of the federal government, but involves other stakeholders like the state and federal governments as well as the organized private sector. He said the president needs to interact with other wage-paying entities to factor their contributions and circumstances into the executive bill on the matter that will be passed on to the National Assembly for passage into law. It will be recalled that at the end of the Tripartite Committee meeting on the new national minimum wage, the government and the government's team and the organized labor sector offered 62,000 naira from the current 30,000 naira. But the organized labor, comprising Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, and the Trade Union Congress, TUC, demanded 250,000 naira living wage. The decision of the president to consult the relevant stakeholders is coming on the heels of the statement by the president of the NLC, Joe Ajaro, where he said that the organized labor had expected the president to reach out to the members of the Tripartite Committee to harmonize the figure. Ajaro had hinged the position on the fact that there was a stalemate at the end of the Tripartite Committee meeting. Mewa report says the president will be meeting with the stakeholders today in Abuja. The federal government on Tuesday banned single-use plastics in its ministries, departments, and agencies of government. The Minister of State for Environment, Isaac Salako, announced the ban when he briefed reporters at the presidential villa after the Federal Executive Council meeting chaired by President Bola Tinubu in Abuja. He said the national policy on plastic waste management, which was adopted in 2020, envisaged that by January 2025, some categories of plastics will be banned in Nigeria, and most of them are single-use, such as plastic spoons, straws, PET bottles, water sachet, and so on. Salako said the ban aligns with the government's commitments to tackling climate change, biodiversity loss, and plastic pollution, which have become menacing challenges in the country. The minister said plastic waste often clog drains and contributes to flooding, while also polluting the oceans and affecting human health and the environment. The Lagos State government had in January banned single-use plastics and styrofoam in the state. And on the foreign scene, Kenya's president yesterday withdrew.
Kenyan President William Ruto said Wednesday,
bound to pressure from protesters who had stormed parliament, launched demonstrations across the country, and threatened more actions this week. Williams Ruto said he would not sign a finance bill, including the hikes, a day after violent clashes between police and protesters at the assembly and nationwide left at least 23 people dead and scores wounded, according to medics. In a televised address, Ruto said he would not sign the 2024 finance bill and will be withdrawn. He said he would now start a dialogue with the Kenyan youths without going into details and work on austerity measures, stating with cuts to budgets of the presidency to make up the difference in the country's finances. The move will be seen as a major victory for a week-old protest movement that grew from online condemnation of tax increases into mass rallies demanding a police overhaul, in a political overhaul in the most serious crisis of Ruto's 2-year-old presidency. It may see off the immediate threat of more unrest, but leaves Ruto still caught between the competing demands of his hard-pressed citizens and of lenders such as the IMF, which is urging the government to cut deficits to obtain more financing. On Tuesday, police opened fire on crowds who massed around Parliament and later broke into the Assembly's compound minutes after lawmakers had voted through the tax measures and sent them on the president. Newspaper documents present at least 35 of Kenya's 47 counties, from big cities to rural areas, even in Ruto's home of Eldoret in his ethnic Kalenjin area. And with that, we'll end the news at noon. But just before we go, have a quick look at the recap. Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly, has expressed displeasure at the accumulating of retired advances by directors of finance in local government areas. The House Committee on Public Accounts conveyed the displeasure on Day 4 of the ongoing review of audit report queries issued by the Office of the Auditor General for Local Government. We also brought you a story that a former Vice Chancellor of the University of Uyo, Professor Akpan Hoganekbo, has bowed out of service after 40 years of service and upon clocking the mandatory retirement age of 70. At a valedictory lecture and book presentation in honor of the renowned economist in Uyo, the Vice Chancellor of the University, Professor Nyaudondayo, paid tributes to Professor Akpanekbo as an icon of good policies in economics and academics. That's the news at noon. Thanks for staying with us. Good afternoon.